Hello, hello, hello. So I didn't see the hands. I was in the front. How many people actually worked out this morning? Light numbers, but okay. You'll have to do it every day. All right, so really excited about this. I'm a big fan of the space, and I'm extremely tonal curious. I've got a home gym, and I'm in the market, so have a conversation about that. Ian handled introduction, so I don't necessarily need to go there. We've got a pretty packed group of questions that we want to go through, so maybe we just kind of jump right into it, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. I know that connected fitness is having an interesting moment right now, and I think that the moment is so interesting because we're coming out of the COVID times where things were really exciting and really frothy, right? Everybody was into it. Now, as people are starting to return to some form of normalcy, you're competing against some more traditional stuff that had seemingly taken a back seat for a while. So in each of your roles at Tonal, how are you, or what are you doing to make sure that connected fitness and smart fitness is remaining top of mind over the more traditional, the trainer, the gym, and so on? Maybe Kyle, you start?
Yeah, I'll start. I think personalization is really important for us, and that translates to several things, right? But what motivates me might be different than what motivates the team or the rest of the team. I might have different goals, right? Like I might be interested in PRs. Someone else might be interested in starting fitness. And so we need to be able to tell appropriate stories to the appropriate audiences. And so we focus on personalization, or we're at least beginning to, by creating these sort of personalized journeys on the website, so we could build out certain cohorts based off preferences, based on where they are in their fitness journey, based on their interests, based on what we think might motivate them. So I would say it starts with data, and that translates to personalization.
Like Eileen.
Like Eileen.
Like Eileen, wasn't her name Eileen?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yes, right.
More Eileen's experience.
Right.
Kristin, what about you?
So I joined Tonal right at the height of the connected fitness craze, and I would say like a lot of our messaging then was around convenience and like, oh, did you know you could work out at home? Like one machine on your wall, like how exciting. And I think we've seen that like that value prop simply isn't enough anymore. It's very much like why Tonal? And I think Troy and Jonathan touched on it really well. Like a strength journey is really personal depending on who your audience is. So we've been doing a lot of effort to really like expand thinking about our audience. We do a lot of work with nano creators. We try to also like make sure we're tapping into different audiences. As Troy alluded, we did a active aging campaign where we worked with creators over 55, built custom workouts. But I would say like, as you saw in the TV spot that was just shown, this is the year where we're really leaning into our technology. There was research done, 2 years ago where they were like, oh, AI is scary, like you shouldn't talk about it. And like, to be clear, like AI is still a little bit scary, but we should definitely talk about it. And so we're really leaning into that and like what makes Tonal unique, because I hope everyone in this room gets to like touch the Tonal rig over there, because it's something that is hard to dimensionalize until you feel the button push and you feel the digital weight turn on. So we're trying to figure out how you make a physical experience across all marketing channels.
So, can you guys hear me okay without this mic?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this down. Sorry, I can't.
Oh,
the mic for the video? Okay, no worries.
we'll make it work.
We'll make
Yeah.
it work.
And I'm gonna return to a couple of topics that you hit on there in a second, but Jamila, what about you in your role? What are you doing to make sure that people are wanting to do this instead of going out slugging it to the gym?
Yeah, for sure. So much has changed since COVID. I remember when I first started at Tonal, it was 2021, COVID boom, like we couldn't produce enough of the product. We just had so much demand, and we were a startup. We hadn't really figured out how to scale. And so we were really focused on digital channels at the time. People are on social, people are on media, like TV, trying to figure out, what they can do because they can't go to the gym. And now it's the opposite, where paid media, TV, like that doesn't work as much now. People need to touch and feel the product because you really need to understand how is it actually differentiated. So moving away from convenience to actually like feeling and touching it is super, super important now. And so partnerships is where we really started to invest more in, so we can get more people touching it, getting more people to really understand the value, and also shifting the messaging away from the typical convenience aspect to more, what's the result that it does for you? How does Tonal benefit your life? A lot of the stuff that, Kristin mentioned, active aging is a good example, and really targeting specific populations and understanding like what do they care about and how can we communicate Tonal in a way that, gets them. So that's been a really big one, and how we've gone about this on the data side is really experimentation, really testing out different messages, seeing what works, and with privacy being a big, big challenge now, we've shifted the way we've measured. So I'll talk about that more, I'm sure, later, but that's my spiel.
Actually, I'm going to get off script here and double tap on that a little bit. How are you scaling the ability for people to, obviously everybody's not going to be able to touch and feel it before they buy, but how are you scaling that out? Because I feel like that's one of the things that's stopping me from going and pulling the trigger. I do weights, right? So how do I get that experience through the messaging or the marketing without necessarily getting the opportunity to touch it?
That's the challenge. So video is like a really good way to explain like the value of the product. And you kind of saw some of the videos that Jonathan and Troy shared, which hopefully give you an idea of like the touch and feel. Like that, active aging lady, she was doing like 63 pounds. Like you wouldn't be able to like really get the feel for it, but you could see how impactful it is. And so like video is an area where it does work really, really well. Statics also has worked really well, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so it's an interesting space for sure.
And I think, oh, sorry.
Just to add to that, I think for us it's important that we focus on like authentic and longer form content. That's a big goal for us. So that means a couple things. Like when I talk about authenticity in particular, like we only want to work with people. So we work with a lot of influencers, right? And we try to work with influencers who maybe are less scripted, right? Like who are going to come up with like natural content because we want to be trustworthy and we feel like that is more trustworthy. So authenticity is really important. Also longer form content because as you mentioned, right, I guess some people, it takes, a couple uses of the tonal before there's that aha moment. Yeah. And so that's really hard to communicate in like a static ad, right? So longer form content is super important to us. And that could be like, whether it's host read, podcast ads, right? As long as, again, that's authentic. Or it could be, longer form videos, right? But especially for us, right? It needs to be longer form because you're not gonna see a static photo of Tonal and say, okay, I'm gonna buy that for a few $1,000s, Like right. You need to understand the complexities of it and the benefits of it.
Or I might see LeBron James in a video, yanking and pulling and just getting jacked. But as you're building a brand, is that the way to make me connect to it nowadays? You talked about authenticity and building trust. I've seen less of LeBron lately. Are you shifting away from having folks like that being the representative of why you should trust Tonal? Because it's not necessarily that creators are so trustworthy either. You got folks popping up on TikTok pretty much on a daily basis with a new viral this that ends up scaling and dying. So there's, on either side, it's really difficult to build trust. So how are you going about that?
Yeah, I mean, our creator challenge is interesting and unique from different brands I've worked with. So I've worked on like beauty where you can send mascara to like 1,000 people and see what happens. Like we have a huge piece of tech hardware that has to be mounted on your wall. It has to like earn a place in your home. We have to make sure the people that we're working with are people that will use the product, and we always think in terms of like longer term relationships. So I think that's some of what we're honestly reconciling is like people don't, and rightfully so. I was told by LeBron James' trainer he will use it on recovery days when I met him on set. Okay. But people are generally skeptical that LeBron James, who has access to a personal trainer that can come to his house every single day, uses Tonal, which I think is fair. And so we've been really leaning into stories where it does feel like people are starting or continuing or growing their journeys with Tonal, because I think the great thing about Tonal is it's a lot like a Spotify playlist. Like it's better at year one than day one. So we're trying to like talk about these people to people that we believe we can go on a journey with them and work with them again, and also think through like what different audiences are. So for example, like we tested into a creator that's like a pickleball coach. So we were like, well, that's really interesting. Like, that's a growing sport. We know our audience is doing it, and it's been really successful. And then with our active aging influencers, we worked with Denise Austin with If You're an 80s Baby and your mom had those tapes like mine, like you're familiar with her work. So we're really trying to expand our network of people to build personal relevance, because Tonal's just, it's such a unique thing in that I can use the same machine as LeBron James. I can use the same machine as my husband, who's like a foot taller than me. I can use the same machine as my like 80-year-old dad, but it's personalized to you because of the AI. So we're trying to find more ways to build those stories and tell those value props, but it's definitely challenging because as Troy showed in his presentation, like the power is the data, but data on its surface is really impersonal. So how can you make data feel more personal through people's stories?
So you actually brought up an opportunity for me to make another little pivot again,
Let's
because
do it.
I was really into Eileen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm inspired. And you brought up Denise Austin. That's the mom. Katie Austin is the daughter, and she's also a creator, big-time influencer. If you guys had to pick one of these influencers to carry the flag towards the greatest growth for Tonal, which one of them would you, at this moment in your trajectory, feel like is better to lean on?
Good question.
You mean between
Between
Denise
Katie
We
and...
might have different opinions. Yeah, ask her first.
Yeah.
No, maybe there's no right or wrong answer. Just curious after seeing Eileen. I would have thought it was Katie before, but bringing up Denise and seeing Eileen, maybe the answer's different.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like my hunch is what I'm really interested in telling are stories that aren't represented as heavily in like fitness categories where we think we can grow relevance and interest. So, you know, my heart goes to like Denise Austin and people like Arlene, because I think women who are over 55, like, they don't get a lot of visibility in the fitness community. And I think we all, like, no matter what age you are, no matter what gender you are, like, you can see Arlene's story and you're like, yeah, like, I want to be jacked like her. But, like, that's not a story you hear a lot. And I think it's a story that Tonal can tell.
Right. I like it.
And I'm on growth, so I'm probably a bit more
Yeah, we got it.
CAC.
LTV?
Yeah.
That's fair.
So and to me, it doesn't depend
Yeah.
too much on the creator. It depends on the content. In the past, we had done several tests with different influencers, right? Some nanos, some macros, you know, some small, some big. And the common thread amongst the winners wasn't the size of their following or their engagement. It was the authenticity of the content. So it's really I think the content that I'm most interested in. So whoever I think is going to do a better job producing that authentic content is who I'd personally want to work with.
I feel like authenticity is going to be a really big theme as we go throughout today. Authenticity and trust and wellness is huge. So going back to you real quick, I know you're producing a lot of great content. You talked to me about a few very interesting strategies that you were deploying to get people to engage with that content. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I thought it was very interesting between...
Yeah. One of them we call social discovery. So we're fortunate to have a pretty solid earned media portfolio, right? So there's a lot of favorable write-ups, and instead of sending people to our homepage, we'll actually send media to these favorable write-ups, and we have.
That's so interesting to me. I don't know if I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's worked well in the past. I think our target demographic, I believe they visit like 20 to 30 websites before they make a purchase. So we might as well try and like control that journey a bit. And we are sending them to earn media. It's nothing that we personally wrote. So it is authentic in that sense. But that's one strategy that we're beginning to roll out.
And you also talked about podcasting. What's your favorite podcast to align with right now?
So it's new. This will be new for us. We're still in that phase of like identifying. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But again, we're going to make sure it's host-read and authentic. We're not going to be providing a script.
I got a recommendation for you.
Please.
Pivot. Kara Swisher, Scott Galloway. You guys listen to Pivot?
Oh,
Would you
nice. I like that.
Would you connect to Tonal if Scott was reading a Pivot? No?
Like, yeah. And like an Andrew Huberman, something like that, I think would be good, right?
Yeah, okay. So, Jamila, it's your job to take all these engagements and bring these folks through the funnel. I'm sure everyone in this room would like to hear how in the heck you're doing it, because it's really hard to do. So what do you have up your sleeve to go from me hearing it on Andrew to pulling them through to getting one of these on my wall?
Yeah, it's changed a lot, I'd say. Like when I first started at Tonal, we had access to everything, right? So, the clicks, the impressions, they come to your website, you have all the tracking, so you know like which creative they saw, which channel they came from, what specific optimization goal you had if you really wanted to go down that path. And then we also partner with a vendor for TV, and so we're able to get the logs from who sees TV, also visits our websites, within that hour, and what's that spike looking like, right? So we collected all of that data, and then we also have the spend and et cetera. And so back then, we were able to really understand, like, these are the key actions that, bring people to the site, get them to, move down the funnel and really consider, and then eventually purchase. Now, our time to purchase is super long, right? High consideration product. It is complicated. It is expensive. And I think, when you see the price tag, you might be like, can I finance this? What does that look like? And so we've seen that there's different types of ads that work differently to convert people quicker, and other ads that take, a longer time, because you're bringing people, you're raising awareness and then bringing them down, right? LeBron is a great example. In 2021 October, I think it was, we launched LeBron. Massive spike. Did sales grow? Not really, but it took time, right? And then now you see when you shift your budget from brand to performance, that brand activity is actually helping it. So it's really interesting in that sense. And so in terms of our funnel, it was really like, what are the metrics that you can see differentiators, right? These people are more likely to convert, and they did these actions, right? Naturally. So this is, a good metric. But if you're forcing people to do it, like a good example that we learned this year was our optimization goal. We ended up using one of those funnel stages, and we were like, let's optimize to this now. What happens then? Facebook now brings in crappier people because, you're optimizing to something that is just gonna get over-engineered. And then that changes the whole game. And then look to where we are right now. Now we are losing some of this data, right, with iOS 14 and now even iOS 17. So how can we do this differently now? Now it's all about experimentation through incrementality testing, right, where you might have some geographies where you're like, okay, we sell a lot of tonals here, it's representative. What if we turn it off? Or what if we spend more? What if we change our mix in this area? How does that impact overall sales, right? And that's how we're looking at it today. But it's difficult, right? It's hard to do that, especially with a product like Tonal. We're very concentrated, as you saw on the map, in like very large geos. And so that becomes another challenge. How do you prioritize your testing, right? How do you build that learning agenda? That part is also very hard. But that's how we're doing it.
And expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive. Incrementality. You have to teach us all how to do it and how to measure it. All right, so
A lot of stats.
when we were talking, you brought up a term, newsjacking, which I probably should have known. I guess it's like 12 years old now, 13 years old. I'd never heard of it. But you brought it up in terms of what you guys recently did with the owners of the Mirror product. I guess Mirror had to wave the white flag in the connected fitness space, and you guys capitalized on that moment. How'd you do it?
Looking at me.
Well,
So,
anyway.
yeah.
We're all looking at you. You got it.
Yeah, I think it was really like a test for us to see if we, if it's something we could do from a PR perspective, and if it's something we could move on quickly on the e-commerce side. Like, can we create a funnel for this? Can we create a quiz flow for this? So we weren't really measuring the success like through sales specifically. We wanted to see, like, can we get some momentum out there, some PR momentum, and
Which you definitely did.
which
Oh,
we
we
definitely
did.
did. Yeah.
We did.
But there's also challenges, right? Like we're reaching out to a disenfranchised group, and we're saying, now spend more, right? With like this in the same industry, right? So there's challenges there, but I mean we got several publications. We brought several new people into the funnel, which many of which are still there, and we proved to ourselves that we can move fast. We can build these things. We can build softwares to confirm that they did previously have a mirror. How we react to that on the care side, the back end side, if we remove it from their home. So it was a test for us, and I think it went well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we brought on 2 of the Mirror coaches, which I think was really interesting for us because, one of them is doing some like prenatal and postnatal content, which we hadn't updated it for a while. And I think that's kind of a secret weapon we have at Tonal is we do have like Jonathan and Troy's teams where we can not only create experiences for prospects, but our members as well. So we can create bespoke active aging workouts when we're launching a campaign. So we have something that we can always give to our member community as well. And I think that was something that was interesting for us from Mirror, was like exploring more like how we can bring coaches on for specific needs, because that's also like a tangled web of logistics, like bringing on a guest coach.
Right.
So I think we learned a lot from that experience too that will benefit us in the future.
I'm sure there are a lot of other Mirror coaches that were like, choose me, choose me. Was that a hard decision to make on who you were going to bring on, or you just kind of knew who you wanted? That's who you went after.
Yeah, I mean, I think we made our best guesses based on their like public personas, engagement rates, things like that, and also where we had, you know, like some holes that we could fill with our current content programming, which I think was helpful.
These panel discussions, they could go for hours, and I got so many more questions. But I think our time is just about up. But I don't do panel moderation without a lightning round.
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna do a lightning round here.
Okay.
And just so you know, when you're answering these questions, it's a binary choice, because the world is black and white, right? It's pretty straightforward. All right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I start out with some softballs, and then it gets a little bit more controversial as we go. You ready? You ready? All right. T Swift or Mama Kelsey?
T Swift.
Mama Kelsey.
T Swift.
There is a right and wrong answer to these questions. LeBron or MJ?
MJ.
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 Whoa.
Oh, maybe we should have said that.
I stumbled across this one this morning. Hilton Honors or Bonvoy?
Bonvoy.
Bonvoy.
Easy, that one's easy. Apple Vision Pro or Meta Quest 3?
I don't know.
Apple Vision Pro?
Apple.
Where's the Meta guy?
Yeah.
Is he not here yet?
Who's here?
Did I just besmirch a guest? I didn't mean to.
This one's become increasingly controversial. So this is where the controversial ones start to really pick up. Yoga or Pilates?
Yoga.
Yoga.
Pilates.
What? There's a right or wrong answer. Mahomes or Brady in their prime?
Brady.
Brady.
Mahomes.
Brady. In office or hybrid?
Hybrid.
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 Remote.
Remote, yeah.
All right, here we go. College athletes, pay them like pros or save amateurism?
Pay him.
I don't know who those people are. I'll be honest.
Pay 'em.
Pay 'em.
Bam. Woo.
All right, here we go. Last one. Artificial intelligence will lead to either our utopian future or humanity's downfall. Binary.
Honestly, probably humanity's down.
Oh!
But until then, we have a great piece of hardware. For
Yes, we do. Get in shape for it.
Yeah, let's close on that.
it. Yeah.
Oh, get in shape for the apocalypse, y'all, with Tonal. Thank you very much. You guys are great.
Thank you.